Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Simply Orchids, etc. The topic I will be talking about today is how I chose the method of how growing my orchids as far as media goes. As you know, I'm growing my orchid in bark chips and a little bit of sphagnum moss. I want to talk about the other type of method of growing your orchids as well. The number one, I'm going to talk. The number one we're going to start off with is hydroponic, and I've seen other YouTubers out there that have tried hydroponic and I followed them for 3.5 years now, and the two that I follow basically come to the same conclusion. They have the similar issue, which is from the middle of their pot all the way to the top is dry, and their orchids are not being hydrated enough. So one of them, they just completely changed their media back to their original potting media, which was bark. So and both of those, one has, I guess, subtropical climate, and the other one is, I think it's the same actually, because he had moved already from his original where he lived from to the West Coast, which is I guess you can consider, I don't know if you consider subtropical, is drier out here actually. And so they have the same issue. So I scrapped that idea totally, because I live in California and it's fairly dry out here. And during the winter, if we're lucky, we get a little bit of rain here and there. The second one I want to talk about is basically second and third. One is semi-water culture and the full water culture. Now, I just want to put it out there as a disclaimer. I'm not a professional orchid grower. I'm just a home grower, and this is my hobby. And I've been only growing orchids for the last 3.5 years. But from what I'm reading and talking to other people about semi-water culture and water culture, basically all of them says it's good temporarily, but it's not good to be growing your orchid indefinitely. Meaning that they're not really meant to be submerged in water, whether it's semi-water culture or water culture. That's not their intendance. And mind you, a lot of orchids these days are hybrid, so they're made to be taken home and be homegrown. They're not out in the wild, but they still have that, they still have that gene in their how do you say it? They still have it in their system that it's not normal. And if you go in the wild, you'll see majority of orchids are clingers or climbers. They need to hold on to something. If you put them in water culture or semi-water culture, they don't have anything to cling on. They're just hanging, basically. They can't cling onto your vases because they're texture, they're smooth, so they can't really cling on it. So that's why that's why I chose not that method of growing either, because of it's not natural. And it is my opinion, and it's been highly debated around the orchid community. But each of their own. It's your prerogative how you want to grow your orchids. But my choosing of how I grow my orchid is I want it to be as close as like they're in the wild. Okay. And people will say, well, I tried growing my orchid in bark. Well, a lot of these orchids, they need to adapt to your environment, and as well as their environment in their pot. And from what my experience goes, is it takes them about a month to 2 months to adapt to their new environment. So you have to be a little patient with your orchids, as far as how you grow them, and whatever how you choose your growing method. Sorry. I have to drink water. I'm not used to talking so much or talking this length. But anyway, I want to show you guys the media that I'm currently using. The first one is this one here is it's New Zealand sphagnum moss. Now this one I only use for layering, especially for for orchids that that barely has any roots. I would either layer it on the top, or I would layer some in the bottom of my orchid pot. And this is my main media that I'm using is Orchiata bark. This is what I'm using here. It's also New Zealand, so I'll just give you a shot there. So this is the media that I'm currently using, and let me show you what they look like. So this is what they look like, and they're like a little bit different sizes, they have small and they have large. See, I also mix in perlite as well with this, and I don't have that right now with me. But yeah, this is the type of media that I'm using, and you guys can choose however you want to grow your orchids. I'm just putting my opinion out there as far as how I grow my orchids and the success that I have with my orchids so far, growing it for 3.5 years. And well, I think that's it for now. I guess till then, happy orchid growing, you guys. If you like what you see or hear, please press that bell button so you'll get a notification when I upload a new video, and also push that like button and subscribe and help me grow my channel. Thank you again. Happy orchid growing. Bye for now.